Hi, welcome to Game Creation. Now, I have promised that every week, every Friday, throughout this kind of project, I will deliver a game. And we've spent a lot of this week waffling, which we won't do most weeks, but it's left me not having explained very much about the canvas element, and we're going to have to go through a lot today to make this game. I have an idea of a simple game we can make. It's not going to be the most, maybe it might be exciting to some, we'll leave it at that. And we're going to have to introduce quite a few new bits, which we're going to be using throughout the next few weeks. So, long video, so I'm going to shut up and get started. Let's go. So, we've created our beautiful line. These two lines here we're going to keep. We're not that interested in the rest of those. I might leave that stroke because we'll probably need that. What we're going to be doing is a game of rectangles. The idea is that a rectangle is moving from left to right and you've got to press the space key to stop it in an area. How interesting is that? I like that. So what area are we going to pick and how do we do that? Well, it's actually quite easy to draw a rectangle. It's exactly what you think, rect. And we need to pass in some values. So what are the values we need to pass in? We need to pass in the width and height of the rectangle, and I have to just make this up, 50, 50, and then the position that the rectangle is in. I think it's actually the other way around. I think I'm just wondering now whether it is, I think that is, no, I think it's the other way around. So we put the coordinates first. See, this is why I have to look things up every 5 seconds. So, where would the coordinates be? Well, it's 250, so it'd be 225, and that would be, so the middle 50 be 125, I think. We want it in the center. Let's save that, and the stroke will actually draw it, which is good. The default color is black, that's fine, we'll leave it at that. Refresh, and that should be in the center. I don't know whether my maths is right on that. Does that look center? It looks center to me. Let's leave it at that. Okay, so that's cool. Right, so that's that. That's the bit we're interested in stopping the smaller rectangle. So we're going to create the smaller rectangle. Okay, and we're going to create it down here, and it's going to be smaller. So we make it half the size, 25 by 25. Actually, we'll make it 10 by 10, why not? 10 by 10. So if it's 300, that would be 145, wouldn't it? And we want it to start on the left-hand side. So these are X and Y coordinates, and these are the dimensions of the square. Okay, so the width and the height. Simples. Save that and see if it works. Go back in here. There we go. So this is going to be shooting across the screen, and we've got to press space bar to stop it in the specified area. Okay, cool. Right, so next what we're going to do is move that small rectangle. So let's get started with that. So how do we do that? Well, we need to learn something more in JavaScript. Okay, and the thing we need to learn is set interval. Okay, so we're going to set interval, okay, which is like a timer, and we're going to like draw a rectangle. This is just me making up, and I always camel case it, just where you put things together because it doesn't like spaces. Don't ever put spaces in your variables because they won't work. And we're going to say an amount of time. So I don't know, let's do it every second. Now these are milliseconds, so 1,000 milliseconds is 1 second for now. Okay, now you'll notice that I've called a function here. This is one of the things you have to learn quickly with this course, unfortunately, is these things called functions. Functions are just things that are done. So every second I want to draw a rectangle. It's as simple as that. Okay, so this function will be done every second. So in order to do that, I need everything in here in that function. Okay, and I'm just going to move these out, and I use the tab key. If you highlight them, tab just shifts them out nicely. Okay, copy and paste that. We need to say JavaScript, we're using a function. Function, there we are, just use the word function, paste in the name of the function. Functions always have brackets after them, bop bop. And now we need some way of saying to JavaScript we want to do all of this stuff every second. So what we do is we open the little curly brace there and close the curly brace there. And that says we're doing a function. The function's called draw rectangle. There's no parameters. We don't have to worry about parameters. We won't worry about that just yet. And this is the block of code we want to happen. We want to draw those rectangles every second. Okay, this is the event. If you imagine in ClickTeam kind of every second on the left hand side, this is what this does. This is the code that you have on the right hand side in ClickTeam. Okay, and obviously like we could actually have that bit outside. We don't need that bit in the function. Anything declared outside the function will be filtered into the function. Okay, so we're calling context here, but that's declared outside the function. I'm using long words. Why am I using long words? Okay, so that's fine there. Okay, we'll leave that there. I don't know why I dragged that into the function. It's happy there. Okay, now save that. I know what will happen. Nothing. There we go. Oh, wow. There you go. Okay, so nothing happens for the first second. Then it draws it. Then it draws it again, and you can see it getting thicker and thicker. Maybe, I don't know how good this video is, but I can see it, right? So the reason being is that canvases don't clear themselves automatically, which is a bit of a problem. So whenever we do draw a rectangle, we need to essentially we're saying, right, context, what we need to do is I just want you to remove everything on the screen. Okay, because we're going to be drawing new things. I don't want the old things to be there. Okay, simples. So the way we do that is context. Always talking to context here. We want a clear rectangle. Okay, and we want it to start at 0, 0, top left, and we want it to be the whole width of the canvas and the whole height of the canvas. Now, whenever I use this, I never ever know whether I'm going to commit to the width and the height that I've said. At the moment, it's 500 and 300, but I could change that. So what we want to do is we want to reference the canvas, which I said we never do, but this is one of the few exceptions. We want to say, canvas, what is your width? There we are. And that's all we have to write. And canvas, what is your height? How easy is that? Okay. And we say, oi, canvas, tell us your width. Oi, canvas, tell us your height. Okay, and that will create a whole massive rectangle of oh, what do they call it in the trade? Varnish. Varnish? No, varnish is not the same. Emulsion? I don't know. Like white paint. Okay, and then we draw it again. Okay, so that's like clearing everything. It's a bit of a hack, actually, to be fair. It could, all right, let's Control and S, save that, and let's see if it gets darker. It shouldn't now. It should stay the same. It does get a bit darker. I don't know why. Have I, by any chance, that looks good to me. Canvas width, canvas height. That looks good to me. I don't know why it's doing that. Okay. Right, so we need to move the small rectangle, okay? So what we want is var small rect x, okay? The x position of the small rectangle, and we don't ever, if we created it inside the function, it wouldn't be able to happen outside the function. We wouldn't be able to reference it here. So we reference it, we create it outside the function, then we can call it inside the function. And what we're going to do is we're going to say the position of that small rectangle is going to be the variable small rect x. And every time we go through this function, which is every second, we're going to equals small rect x plus, I don't know, 10. Okay, so we're just shifting the x coordinate of the small rectangle. Okay, Control and S, and hopefully this will work. Okay, so clear rectangle is definitely not working. However, our latest addition is, which is good. Okay, so going back to the code, there's something moronic I've done. And this is something you need to kind of understand with the context. Is context will have a very, very long memory. And will only start a new one when you tell it to forget what it's done before. So if I say at the start of this function, oi, I want you to begin your path. I want you to start here, start fresh. And what is going on there? Begin. Okay, begin path. I want you to start there and forget everything that happened before. This will wipe its memory of all the other instructions you gave it. The issue we had just now is that it was doing this. Stroke does not stop it from remembering. It then loops back here and just keeps going. Even with clear rectangle. Clear rectangle will wipe everything, but then it remembers to draw them again anyway. So we need to have the begin path there. Let's save that now, and hopefully it will look a lot nicer. Let's try refresh, and voila, it is working nice. Okay, so what's the game? The game is to press spacebar while it's in that box. Simple game, but then again, you know, I've not got much time to go through it. So we've got the elements of it moving and it drawing, and everything's working hunky-dory, but we need some kind of interaction. You can't have a game without any interaction at all. So let's get to that. So let's do it down here. Okay. So we want to say to the document, oi, document. What I want you to do is I want you to listen out for when any keys are pressed. Unfortunately, you can't specify exactly which keys. You just say add event listener. And I always double check, triple check that I've spelled this correctly. If there is a key down, which means that you've pushed the key down, as opposed to key up, which is when you have released the key. We want a key down because timing is everything. I want you to do this function. I want to just go call it function. Okay, and it's going to have one parameter, which is E. Essentially, E is, so if it detects you put a key down, it then spits this E out, and we want to use the E. So we put that into our function, because everything in those brackets is what we're passing into the function. And I'm just going to press enter here, and what that will do is will just give us a bit more room, because we're going to be doing the function here. Okay, so this is what is an event listener. It's listening out. Document is our king. It's the king of the thing, because that's where we got context from. And listening out for any button presses. Okay. Now we need some way of like figuring out what button press has actually occurred. And something I'm introducing today is the console. Console is an absolute lifesaver when you spell it correctly. Okay. Console is the kind of, you know, that thing that comes up on ClickTeam when you're running a program and it allows you to look into the alterable values and everything that I use all the time. That's what console is. It's your invisible kind of helper. And I wanted to spit out some text. So you can say, I don't know, spit out hello or something. But we want a little bit more interesting than that. We want it to look into that E variable, the event error variable that we've passed in, and we want it to tell us what the key code is. Because I have no idea what the key code is for spacebar. So I'm going to save that. Okay, you might be asking yourself, where's the console? Well, in every single browser it exists. You can actually go up here and stuff. The easiest way of doing it is right click and inspect element or equivalent. It's normally the one at the bottom, but annoyingly Firefox have decided to make that take screenshot. So whenever I'm trying to go into the console, I always take a screenshot. It's really irritating. But it's normally called something like inspect element or I think that's normally what it's called. I think that's what it's called in Chrome as well. And when you do that, this monstrosity comes up at the bottom. All you need to do here is click console. It's always called console. And there's your console. Okay, so I click into the canvas and I press spacebar and nothing happens. Doom and gloom. Right, so then I panic and think, what have I done wrong? So I go back to the code and just check that I've got everything. So what have I not done? Well, this opened a bracket here, so I need to shut that bracket, and then I need to put my semicolon because that makes me happy. Go back in here, refresh, and the console will stay open, which is cool. Press spacebar and it says it's 32. So let's copy that. So 32, and you can press other ones, up, down, left, right. There's all your key codes. And that's similar to the way ClickTeam does. You know, we've talked about objects before that read the actual key, I think. Maybe we haven't. That's on the to-do list. What was it? 32. So we're going to do our simple if statement. Okay. So if bracket the key code equals 32, close bracket, do this. Now I've deliberately made a mistake, so if you've noticed it, I have done it deliberately. If the key code is 32, I want this to stop. Okay, and how are we going to do this? Well, we're going to have a boolean, because we love booleans, var stop everything. Alright, equals false. Okay, because we want it to run. Go into the draw rectangle, and I'm going to say if stop everything equals false. Then do all of that. Press tab, indent it, make everything look pretty, make everything line up. So if stop everything is false, do that. Otherwise it won't do anything. And if that is there, then we want stop everything. If you press spacebar, stop everything equals true. Okay. Now, I mentioned I made a mistake, and I made this mistake really deliberately because ifs are really annoying for this. Okay, if is really powerful. Like, it's essentially like just a way of checking. It's on the left-hand side where you've got your event, but you're seeing if, I don't know, the alterable value is 3 or the player is in the field or whatever. That's what if is. But this has to be a double equals. Okay, when you're comparing things. So whenever you use an if, you're going to be using either a double or a triple. I'm not going to go into the difference. I will briefly. Essentially, triple means that the two variables being compared are exactly the same. The doubles is just that they're the same value. Anyway, so 2 equals is the key of using an if statement. Okay, I know that this has been a little bit more complicated, but we've had to have some kind of input, otherwise it's not a game, and we've had to have some kind of consequence of that input, and the consequence is that this stops moving across. Okay, let's see if this actually works. So save it, refresh, okay, and let's press spacebar, and it worked. Now, I'm getting a bit bored of that, like getting there. So maybe we actually want to just speed that up. And the way we do that is instead of a second, let's make it 1/10 of a second. Save that, open the game, press F5, refresh, and oh, yay! Refresh again, oh, pow! Oh, boom! And this is probably the most fun game I've made in a while. Oh, I don't know. I don't think you can get it dead on center. But yeah, okay. Let's increase the difficulty, and maybe there could be levels on this that increase the difficulty. All right, let's make it twice as quick. All right. Oh, got it. Oh, got it. Okay. One last one. All right. Let's make it 5 times as quick. Oh. Oh my goodness. Now that is a challenge. Yay! I win. Well, I hope that this series has gone down well, and you've enjoyed it. I think that it's actually really eye-opening how simple some things are. Don't get me wrong, there's a heck of a lot of stuff that you do in ClickTeam without even thinking that can take you ages when you do it yourself. But that's where frameworks, as I mentioned, Phaser, but there's loads of other ones. For websites, and whenever I use JavaScript, I use a framework called jQuery, which it isn't different to JavaScript. It's all written in JavaScript. It just makes a whole bunch of things so much easier and just quicker. And instead of having to write get element by ID and all that stuff, you can literally do it in 3 characters and then write the ID and stuff like that. So there are things out there that make life easier, but I think it's really powerful for this next couple of weeks just to strip it back, not overcomplicate it, and let's just have a look at the very basics. And if you look at today's video, I mean, the stuff we've talked about has been absolutely immense. I mean, that doesn't look like very much, but that has so much understanding within it, and there's probably all sorts of things that I've said that you might need to kind of go back to and rewind if this is your first experience with it. But I'm hopefully for next week we can go through each of these elements a little bit more and practice them a little bit more and try and understand the logic behind them. But this now is really important that you write any comments you want me to action for next week in today's video, because I'll be reading all your comments from this week to inform my next week's videos. So please keep those comments coming in. I've got some really interesting comments from last week of ideas of future videos, and I think every single one of them would be fascinating. So please keep them coming in. This is kind of a pet project for me, and I kind of do this in my spare time, and I really, really enjoy it. And I think that's all thanks to you. So thank you very much, and I'll see you next week. Enjoy your weekend. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you want to see more from us, please click subscribe. We release videos every single weekday at 7 PM UK time. Thank you.